It is game time almost. In
Huh.
just about 2 hours, we're going to see finally week 1 NFL action, and it still hasn't completely sunk in. I guess it will once I'm actually watching the game and seeing some fantasy points start to tally on the app. But we are here. Glad that you are with us. Of course, now we've been shouting out all of our regulars, our longtime viewers, subscribers who've been starting to come back in droves. But I think tonight, before we get started, special shout out to all our new viewers. We've had a ton of new, not only viewers and subs lately. So I'm going to try to get to a lot of you and your questions. But thank you all for being with us. We're going to continue to do our best to help you win in fantasy. I mean, that's why we're here. And we're going to do what we can to help answer start sit questions. Hopefully, just got to be honest. Hopefully, not too many more rating of teams. I think we're already past that point. I mean, at this point, you got what you got, right?
You got what you got. Exactly. Like whatever we say, not gonna matter. You got what you got.
Right. But it's not too late to start looking ahead. We're going to tell you who might be the best people to stash on the waiver wire. Maybe make some trades if you're up for that. So you guys have already seen our start sit, hopefully for every position for week 1. And week 1 is already starting, so it's not too late. Well, I should say it's not too early to start looking ahead and getting ready for next week. Now, we're going to get to as many questions as possible. If you are new and maybe don't know how we run the live streams typically, here's what we do. We try to answer all your questions. Of course, that is physically impossible. So you'll see a lot of people like to skip the line by using the fast pass, which is called a super chat on YouTube. People who do use that super chat, we're definitely going to answer those questions, and we'll do them in order. And then we'll start to get to some of the regular ones. But again, if you do super chat, we will definitely guaranteed answer your question when we get to it. So again, we'll do our best. We got about 2 hours until kickoff, and we also only have 2 hours left to use the free pick, Travis Kelce on Underdog. And by the way, if you noticed, you might have seen it. I already used mine on Underdog. They've got another special. I know every day it's something new. Yesterday was Vultures. Before that, it was No Sweat. Well, today, and you can even say Thursday only, 30% profit boost token, which is what it sounds like. Whatever you win, adding 30% on top of it. And this doesn't just work with NFL picks, right? This is for anything, right? Can you use this token? You can mix and match, right? Anything goes.
Anything goes. But I mean, why wouldn't you use it on football today? It's game 1 of the NFL season. Why not?
Game 1. I mean, that's what you're here for. So use it, but you can mix and match, like I said, if you're still doing baseball pick'ems, any other sport, anything that's going on. So again, use that while you can. And of course, still got time to use the Travis Kelce free pick. So this is, if you are signing up for Underdog the first time, you get this free pick. 0.5 total yards. If Kelce gets just 1 yard tonight with one of those special plays that Taylor drew up for him, then you win that pick. Just 1 yard. That's all he needs. Now, if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, well, it seems like a pretty good time to take advantage of both of those things before kickoff. So make sure you use that code ENDGAME because it gets you everything I've already talked about, plus that 50% deposit match up to $1,000. That's right. So whatever you put in for your very first deposit when you first sign up for Underdog using that code ENDGAME, they'll match it 50% up to $1,000. You can go as high as you want. But again, the more you do, the more you get back, plus the free picks. So don't hesitate to download that app right now. And of course, you still have time to download Draft Lane, absolutely free. You have all season, really, because it's going to be there. It's not just for drafts, right? Draft Lane app does have the draft pilot, which a lot of people give us some positive feedback on, which is good to hear. But the start sit questions, the trade questions, the waiver wire, all of that is there on the app too. So check it out now. Again, download is absolutely free. And this can start helping you to win in fantasy right now, right? Don't wait. No reason to wait. So we're not going to wait to get to your questions. In fact, let's start with a new viewer because I know he is. He just said new subscriber, Effortless
Welcome.
Carpentry. Can start only 2. Mostert, Zamir White, JSN.
I'm benching JSN. I like JSN. I think JSN could actually have a nice game this week, to be honest, because remember, the Broncos do have Pat Surtain, so he may make life tough on DK Metcalf this week. Could mean more JSN, but at the same time, still kind of risky to get JSN in there week 1. I feel good enough about Mostert and Zamir White this week that I'll just start those 2 guys. And look, if JSN looks really good and has a great game, awesome. I can feel good about him next week and beyond. But this week, I'm gonna see how it plays out with him and just go with Mostert and White.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking this doesn't say the format. Assume it's full PPR, which makes it close. But I agree. Really, my only concern, I've been big on JSN all preseason, all draft season. My concern with that game is they just really don't need to throw the ball that much. Honestly, I don't have a lot of faith in Denver. I do have a lot of faith in Seattle's offense. So it's just might not be a high volume game for him. I think Mostert is very startable. So I would go with those 2 running backs also. All right, but the very first question we should honor Sean Dude, just a little bit early, only 3 hours ago. So Sean Dude wants to know James Conner or Zay, and this is full PPR.
In this case, I'll go Zay Flowers. I mean, we shouldn't have any worries about Zay Flowers tonight. I mean, look, when they played in that AFC Championship game, he had 100 yards. Should have had, 2 touchdowns, I think, right? Not saying he's going to do that tonight, but you shouldn't really worry about Zay tonight. It's PPR. I do like Conner, but in this case, I'm going Zay Flowers.
Yeah, Conner he should be a very solid RB2 really for a while, if not all season. But in full PPR, you got to prefer that number 1 receiver. So you got to go Zay. And you do have to get this question out early because if you're starting Zay, got to make sure he's in your lineup.
Yes.
And then before we get to the first super chat, we got to get to Harry. Again, this was about 3 hours ago. Harry's always on here.
What's up, Harry?
Caleb or Purdy?
Oh, that one's tough for me. I think I'm going to trust Caleb in his first start. I'm just very nervous about Purdy. I know they're at home, but man, that Jets defense, I mean, we're talking shutdown level defense, shutdown level secondary. I know Purdy's got weapons. He can just throw a wide receiver screen to Debo and Debo can break 3 tackles and score, and you can do that to CMC. I get all that, but I think I'm trusting Caleb. I know the Titans also upgraded their secondary, but I don't know. I like Caleb this week. I'm going Caleb, but it's very close here.
This is tough because normally you might just say, I'm not going to start the rookie in his very first game, but Purdy gets the Jets. It's not a great matchup. And then I'm sure you saw CMC kind of popped up on the injury report today. I don't think it's serious, but I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I agree. I think I would go Caleb just barely, see what he does. And then Swift or Stevenson?
I'm going Stevenson. I mean, I could be wrong here. Maybe Swift is the guy in Chicago, but I have my worries that it's going to be a committee. Now, I will say, Rashawn Johnson, I think he's been limited the first 2 days of practice. So maybe we don't see as much Rashawn Johnson this week as we normally would, or I don't know how much I don't even know what that means because we haven't seen this backfield yet, but maybe that helps Swift a little bit if it's just him and Herbert and there's not a third person to potentially take snaps and touches away. But I'm definitely worried about Swift not getting as many touches as people think. So yeah, I know Stevenson, he's stuck in that terrible Patriots offense, but he'll catch some passes. He'll get the bulk of the work. I'm going to go Stevenson.
Agree, because again, when you're comparing running backs in fantasy, I always tend to lean towards volume. Who I think is going to get more touches. Touches are just the easiest and the best predictor of fantasy production. I just think Stevenson's getting all the touches in that backfield pretty much. Swift, you just never know. And we definitely don't know in this Bears offense how many touches he'll get. I know Swift probably has more upside, but I'll go to Stevenson, and also because I feel better about him catching a lot of passes. All right. First super chat goes to Eric Sanchez. It's a trade question. It's a very interesting trade question. Would you trade, or should he trade, McLaurin and Ridley for Neighbors?
No way. I mean, no way. Like, even if you told me there was a greater than 50% chance that Neighbors is going to be really good this year, I think Terry McLaurin's also going to be really good. So I won't even risk it. And then you're getting, like, I'm not that high on Ridley, but I'm not like Ridley's not going to be a bum. So I'm taking McLaurin and Ridley here for sure.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, from someone who didn't draft Neighbors and was saying he was being drafted a little too high, I wouldn't do this. This is interesting, though. He did follow it up. P.S. It could be Metcalf instead of Neighbors. So would you do Ridley and McLaurin for Metcalf, or is that still not high enough?
Yeah, I don't think that's high enough. Like, again, I think Terry can be really good this year, like top 20, top 15 wide receiver, if not better. I think Ridley probably, I don't know, for me, maybe like top 30. I know you're probably higher on him than that, but which means for this to really make sense, Metcalf's going to have to be like a top 10, top 8 wide receiver this year. Maybe, which I mean, he can do, but we're talking about probably his ceiling or pretty close to it. So, yeah, I would need, if I'm going to give up McLaurin and Ridley, I need somebody that was more like, I don't know, maybe like a Waddle, somebody like that, like, like a high end wide, like a borderline wide receiver 1 type of guy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Maybe a London, Olave, whoever you're high on, Ayuk, something like that. But also, so looking at, I mean, it makes sense, but it also doesn't. He also dropped his roster. I mean, crazy deep at receiver. So I like the idea. Yeah, package 2 of those receivers to upgrade. It's just not enough of an upgrade. And you already have Harrison, Devontae Smith, Higgins. Like, you really don't need to upgrade.
Right.
But if you're going to do this, okay, fine, package 2 of them, not the first 2. Go for somebody who's, I mean, you're not going to get a top 5 receiver. No one's giving you Amon-Ra St. Brown, but one of those guys who's right there in the second round. That's what you would do, but not for Neighbors and not for DK. All right, Alex Bellevue went 10-team PPR. So here's the squad. The question here is, well, first, what do you think? And then second of all, would you start Mostert over Pollard?
I'll start with the second one because that's easier for me. Definitely, I'll start Mostert over Pollard. I mean, we heard head coach Brian Callahan when asked, he literally said, his exact quote was, "It will be a 50-50 split." Like, that was his exact quote. Like, I'm not, like, he didn't say, yeah, we think, no, it'll be a 50-50 split. So Pollard's fine, but I mean, give me Mostert. He's got that massive touchdown upside. Not to mention that Bears defense is going to be, I know you look, people like think, oh, Bears. That Bears defense is going to be good this year, like really good, or it should be. So I'm going Mostert. All right, so the team, you got Walker, Pollard, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, very nice. Nico Olave, very, very nice. I mean, for those guys being your flexes, that's really good. Ferguson at tight end, Stroud at QB, that's really good. Purdy, Mostert, Watson, Corum, Brooks. This is a 10-teamer. Okay, I mean, it's a 10-teamer. Again, I like Walker, and maybe, a few weeks from now, a month from now, we're saying like, oh man, Kenneth Walker is just a no doubt must start running back every single week. You can't even think about it. But as we sit here right now, we can't say that for sure. So I feel like your running backs for a 10-teamer are good, but not great. Wide receivers are fantastic. You got an elite quarterback. You got an elite tight end. That's good. I like your bench. So I'm going to say 8.25.
I'm pretty big on Walker. I'm fine with Mostert as the 2, definitely. This is about an 8.5 for me because I actually really like your bench a lot. I think Corum or Brooks could step into that RB2 role before long. So very good. Dan O, greetings. Who do you like for the last bench spot? Those two guys, Brooks, Corum, or Rico?
Well, okay, so if you have an IR spot, you pick up Brooks, you put him in IR. And then you pick up one of the other guys. The guy I'm picking up, I mean, if all these guys are on your waiver wire, it means nobody in your league is probably rushing out to get these guys. So I don't feel like there's a huge need to get them. So I'm going to lean Dowdle only because if Kyron comes out of this game this week unscathed, I mean, Corum is just a handcuff, right? He just goes into week 2 still being a high-end handcuff. What if Dowdle gets, 60, 65% of the touches in this Dallas backfield? Everybody's going to be scrambling. People are going to be racing to drop Zeke to go pick up Dowdle. So in worst case, if it's not, let's say Dowdle's getting the carries and the passes between the 20s, and then when they get near the goal line, Zeke comes in and vultures, and people are like, well, okay, it's going to be one of those situations where Dowdle gets the touches, but Zeke gets the touchdown, so you don't want either of these guys. Then you can just be like, move on from Dowdle and go pick up Corum. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm prioritizing Dowdle now, because he has the clearest path to do something this weekend and become one of the hottest pickups heading into next week. Whereas Corum, I mean, the only way that's happening for Corum more than likely is if Kyron gets hurt. Now, if that happens, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I grabbed Corum, but come on, you don't want to hit your wagon to that outcome. So again, I'm going to say if you have an IR spot, pick up Brooks, put him in IR, then go pick up Dowdle.
Everything you said, exactly 100%. I'll say if you don't have an IR spot, unfortunately, then you probably can just leave Brooks out there, because if all these guys are just on waivers, then no one's going to pick him up while he's still on the pup. So
right.
There you go. And then also follow up here, Waddle, Cup, or Devontae for the last two. Who sits out of this group?
I think Devonta Smith. I was going to say, I said Devonta. I was going to say Devonta sits, but then I said Devonta Smith, which I guess I could have said Devonta Smith sits. What I'm trying to say is Devonta sits. Not that I don't like Devonta, but he's got the tougher matchup against that Green Bay secondary. In Brazil, you never know. You never know, right? Having to fly to a foreign country, you don't know how it's gonna be, how a player's gonna react. I mean, they're professionals. I'm sure they'll be fine, but I just feel good enough about Waddle and Cup that I'll just sit Smith this week.
And looking at the fact that these are your flex options and those running backs are available, this must be an 8-team league, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Waddle and Cup, totally fine. I mean, you're fine with any of them. Alex B, got the membership. Ramondre or Ford?
Well, here I'm going to go Ford. They feel, I mean, I shouldn't even say they feel similar to me, but I think they're both going to get probably similar volume. They're both capable pass catchers, so it's not like one guy has the edge there. But I can either take the guy in the Patriots offense behind probably a bottom 5 offensive line who is missing their best player, their best offensive lineman, or I can go with the guy who's behind a top 5 offensive line whose offense runs typically one of the fastest paces in the NFL, most plays per games, and loves to run the football. So that's what I'm going to do. Jerome Ford.
Yeah, the by far less worse offense in general. I mean, running backs, Ramondre is a solid floor play because he's getting all the touches and he will catch some passes out of necessity, not just that he's been doing that. But Ford has a much better chance to score and actually run the ball while the team is at least in neutral, if not ahead. So, yeah. Go forward there. Marcus, very active on the Discord. That's right.
Yes.
Let's go. It is back finally. Almost about to start, but we still got time for all this. All right. He's got a question. 2 receivers, Ayuk, Devontae, Tank, DK, Watson. And he says, okay, so you get bonuses. Those are some fat bonuses. I'm not going to lie. 10 for a 40-yard touchdown?
Well,
15 for 50.
Oh, man.
But all these guys could take it to the house, right? I don't know if that even helps with this group.
I think it makes me like Watson more than I should in this group.
DK.
But it's still, I mean, it's still hard to predict big touchdowns, right? Because it's not just like a 40-yard catch. It's like they have to score. It has to be a 40-yard. Like they can't get tackled at the 2. And you like, oh, a 50-yard catch, but he got tackled at the 2. No bonus for you. Sorry. So I'll probably just still go with the best players here. I'm going to avoid Ayuk if I can this week. This is probably going to be the only week I'm going to say don't start Ayuk. Not only has he had very little training camp and practice, but now he has to match up with Sauce Gardner. I'm just going to avoid Ayuk this week, especially when you have these wide receivers. So I think I'm going to go DK. I mean, it probably should be Devonta Smith here, but honestly, I might go DK and Watson and just hope for that long touchdown. But I think you're also okay with DK and Smith.
I mean, with this group, you're fine with any of them, and I honestly don't think that the bonus sways me one way or another because all these guys could break it. All these guys are deep threats. Tank more of a run after the catch kind of big play threat, but still, when you have these kind of players, you can fade Ayuk because of the matchup. I'm going to go in a DK because I just way too big on that Seattle offense. Watson is tempting, but I don't think I would put him over Devontae Smith. So I would go DK and Smith personally, but honestly, I'm fine with any of those last 4.
Yeah.
Eric actually has
Smith too, but
yeah, Eric is saying, okay, this is different. Remember the trade we just talked about? Correction. Okay. So now he's saying it was McLaurin and Brian Thomas for either Metcalf or Neighbors. Instead of Ridley, it's Brian Thomas.
I definitely think that's more fair, and I think you can do this if you want Metcalf. I'm still not doing it for Neighbors. I mean, look, there's like half of me hopes I'm wrong and like Daniel Jones somehow plays great this year so we can see Neighbors unleashed. But then half of me goes like, if that happens, I'm never going to hear the end of it. Like we're just never going to hear the end of it. So the other half of me is like, I hope he just stays the same old Daniel Jones and we have to struggle through a terrible first year of Neighbors. But I think for Brian Thomas Jr., I think now it makes sense for Metcalf because like Brian Thomas Jr. feels like semi like a throw in. Like, sure, maybe Brian Thomas Jr. as the season goes on at some point will become, really fantasy relevant, or maybe he won't. So I don't think this is a must. Like, I don't think this is like, oh yeah, definitely do it. If you want to do it, go ahead, get Metcalf. But if you don't, I'm also okay with that.
Right. And again, I say you can do this to get DK because you have such a deep receiving core anyways. All right. Bird Talk 93 in full PPR. Ridley, Reed, Sutton, Addison. I guess we're picking one.
We're probably going to differ on this. I'm going Jaden Reed. Again, I'm going to try to attack that Eagles secondary until they show me they're not terrible. No Bradbury. Darius Slay looked like dust last year, and he's 33 years old. Like I said, they got some pretty, young guys with potential, but right now they're still just young guys with potential that could go either way. So, yeah, again, that Bears defense I think is going to be really good this year. Jalen Johnson probably going to be on Ridley. I'm just going to go Reed.
Well, actually, we're not going to differ. I'll go Reed too. I'm definitely not going to Addison because he's been banged up. Named Darnold, who knows? I'm not going to take that chance. Already talked enough about the Broncos. I feel they're going to get stomped. I think a lot of weeks, and maybe it'll be half and half, but I think a lot of weeks I might go Ridley. But like you said, that on the road, Bears, Jalen Johnson, we'll see how Will Levis looks. I think I do have confidence in Will Levis the rest of the season, but let's give it some time. I'll just go with Jaden Reed and not worry about it. All right. You knew we weren't done rating teams, so here we go. This is our guy, Tyler Durden.
What's up, Tyler?
Now, this is a 16-team half PPR.
All right.
Prescott, Debo, DJ, Saquon, Jerome. We're on a first-name basis. McBride, Thomas, Keon Coleman, and then the bench. is Wicks, Mason, McMillan, Shipley, Yosevich. It's very
Did he
young.
already did he already see or beat the breakout video? Did he somehow already watch it?
Maybe. There's just a lot of
All right.
rookies on this team.
Yeah, a lot of dice rolls, but I mean it's a 16 team league. Like you're not gonna feel warm and fuzzy about your whole team, but Debo DJ Moore is good. Saquon Jerome Ford is fine for a 16 teamer. You got See, this is a thing in a 16 teamer, like, man. Like McBride's fine. Like, I mean, but man, if this is what always makes me nervous about. Well, it makes me nervous going early tight end in any league, but especially in a deep league like this. When you say, okay, I'm gonna spend probably a 4th round pick, I'm guessing in this format on McBride, like he better pay off, right? If McBride is just so this year, I mean, it's hard to come back from that in a 16 team league. But as of right now, we think McBride will be phenomenal. So if he is, you're good there. You got a good quarterback. I do like, you got a lot of guys that I like. I like Brian Thomas. I like Wicks. Mason, a great handcuff. I like McMillan. I actually like Shipley. So you got the Saquon backup just in case. We've been talking up Josephus. So I think as it stands right now for a 16 teamer, you did pretty good. I'll say 8.5.
Look, it's a deep league, so a guy like Brian Thomas with upside, definitely flex worthy. Keon Coleman, maybe that's the one. It's hard for me to kind of swallow that one because I'm not big on him. I get that you want to play in that range, but again, yes, you need upside. Yes, rookies can be good. I don't want everybody on my bench to be a rookie, right? This week I would flex Wicks instead of Coleman because I feel better about his chances of doing something. Hey, if Jamar Chase doesn't play, maybe just throw Yosevich in there and just see what happens. But I'll go in at 8. I just feel like the bench is a little too risky, but overall, you definitely have some talent. Let's see. We'll see what happens. And then Dan is in here. Dan Fuller, 2 questions.
What's up, Dan?
Zay over Pickens.
Yeah, just give me Zay. I mean, like when I have a decision like this where it's not, I mean, I would probably take Zay anyways, but when I have a decision like this where it's not, like, you're not asking like CeeDee Lamb or like Devonta Smith. It's like, come on, CeeDee Lamb, right? Not that I don't like Devonta Smith, but you know what I'm saying. But when it's 2 guys that are kind of like, I guess, similar range-wise as far as how they're being valued, just give me the guy playing with Lamar Jackson, not the guy playing with maybe a less than 100% Russell Wilson. So just give me Zay tonight with Lamar.
Yeah, exactly. And now, who knows? Because Russ apparently has a calf issue. Is he even going to start week 1? Or are we seeing Justin Fields? Who knows?
Is he gonna limp off in the second quarter and Fields is gonna have to run out there? Yeah, who knows? Just give me Zay tonight.
And then if it's Justin Fields starting, I don't even know. Does that make me feel better or worse about George Pickens? I'm not sure. I think it might make me feel better, but then I don't know if it should. So anyways, let's just go Zay and you'll be good. And no, I wouldn't put Pickens in over Nico or Smitty, so you're good there. So let's go with Zay. And then he's asking about Pickens or JSN in a different league.
Well, here I probably will go Pickens because, again, I do like JSN. But like you said, I mean, this might be a game where Geno Smith throws 25 passes because the Broncos are putting up no fight offensively and they don't have to. And Pickens is still unquestionably the number 1 in that offense. JSN still competing with DK Metcalf, maybe even Tyler Lockett to some degree. So let's go Zay in the first league and Pickens in the second.
Right. Target share. Pickens has the edge there. And then his follow-up question, speaking of Zay, the Ravens, I did say you had maybe a little bit too many Ravens. Okay, so what do you think about this? He got offered. So someone's trying to trade Achane for Henry straight up.
I mean, as we sit here right now, I'm going to take Henry. Could you regret this at some point this year? Like, if Henry is looking old and Achane is winning leagues, sure. But, I mean, We've been calling Henry a league winner. We've been saying you got to draft him. Henry's been going like mid-second round. I think right now you got to prefer Henry.
Very interesting trade to see how this turns
Yes.
out. I mean, based on everything I've been saying, of course I would say just keep Henry. Can't say it's not fair. And again, I don't want to say don't get Achane and the Achane goes out and scores 80 points this week. But I would rather keep Henry. If this is very fair, I don't want to trade a player like Henry just so I don't have like one less Raven. There's probably other Ravens you could trade instead of King Henry. How about another Raven? So Andrew Gill wants to know, would you go Rashad Bateman, he of much hype the last few weeks, or Romo Dunze in his very first game?
Yeah. And normally I'd say like, hey, let's just fade these non-generational talent. I mean, look, Romo Dunze honestly is a generational talent. I shouldn't even say that. He truly is a generational talent. It's only because we had 3 generational talents in this draft class that Romo Dunze kind of like got forgotten. But if Romo Dunze, if like Harrison and Neighbors were in this draft class, people would be like falling all over themselves for Romo Dunze right now. But he's also competing with DJ Moore, maybe some Keenan Allen, a rookie QB. That being said, though, I still feel better about him than Bateman this week. Look, I've been buying into Bateman. I've been calling him a sleeper. I've been drafting him late in my best ball drafts. But I don't want to put him in my lineup week 1. Let me see some signs of life from Rashad Bateman first.
Yeah. We've heard it. Let's see it. Let's actually see it on the field, and let's not pretend it's a great matchup. Chiefs were really good, especially in the secondary last year. I know they lost Snead, but they still have McDuffie. It's still a good defense and a good secondary. I know it's weird to associate Chiefs defense, but it's true. So yeah, let's see it. I would just take my chances with a Dunze against Tennessee's secondary than Bateman. I mean, look, there was no bigger truther on Bateman when he was first drafted. I know it's been a couple years, but if you go back at the very beginning of this channel, I was all over Bateman. I've been very bitterly disappointed, and so I'm just kind of let's see it first. I want to take the bait again. Antoine dropping in just to say good luck. Thank you, Antoine.
Thank you, Antoine. Good luck, everybody. Of course.
All right, let's keep going here. Thomas, 3 different teams. All right, PPR flexing 2. Mostert, Ford, Reed, Mitchell.
Flexing 2 in PPR. Oh man, I think I want to go Reed here because it is PPR. Although it's hard to sit both Mostert and Ford.
Well, we need 2, but he's saying he already has Achane. I don't know. Does that weigh into the decision about having Mostert? I mean, I don't think it's a problem.
How many games last year did Achane and Mostert both go off in the same game? Like, I'm not worried about it. But I do think in PPR, I do give Ford the edge because Ford is a good pass catcher. He will catch passes. Mostert, maybe you'll get a catch. Now, Mostert could have one of those, 2 touchdown games, and you're like, oh, why did I bench Mostert? But if he doesn't, I mean, his he's not giving you a ton outside of that. So I'm going to go Reed and Ford.
Yeah, Reed and Ford. Totally fine there in full PPR. And then, okay, this is a different one. PPR flex 1, Javonte, Ridley, or Thomas Jr.
Oh, man. This is tough.
It's tough for me because I would like to say Ridley, but I would just talk about that matchup. Not a great one against the Bears. Jalen Johnson. I'm going to go Ridley over Thomas, though, this week.
Yeah.
Do we go Javonte? Javonte's more of a floor play. Ridley could still make a big play. I might have to go Ridley.
Yeah, in PPR, I might have to go Ridley too, but it's close between him and Javonte. Javonte might be a bit safer, like if you just want the floor, like you said.
True. And then the third one, flex 1, Lockett, Josevich, or Wicks. This must be a deeper league.
I mean, if I can't start JSN, there's no way I can start Lockett.
Yeah. And he's been
I
banged up
can't
too,
start.
I think.
What's that?
I think he's been banged up too. He had some sort of he's been nursing something.
I can't start Josievich with all the even with all the hype. I mean, he's still the number 3 there. I guess Wicks again. I like the matchup for these Green Bay receivers this week. These guys all are very much could do something or do nothing. So let's just go with the one Wicks in the best matchup.
Yes. Wicks is my thought there. Could be a high scoring game. We don't really know exactly how that receiver room is going to play out. And I'm pretty sure Wicks won't get the most snaps. He could still wind up being the guy who scores a touchdown. Could make a big play or two. Who knows? Okay, again, we just now cut up to the super chats from before we went live. Okay, so now we're going to get to the next. But first, big shout out NPM 2010 LBC, 22nd consecutive fantasy football season, ready to dominate. I'm assuming again.
You're like the Tom Brady of fantasy football.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I would want to say how many years of fantasy football in a row it's been for me. So let's move on to the next one. Jerry Reed, do you go the full Taysom in week 1 or you go Dalton Schultz?
Just give me Taysom, honestly. Give me Taysom. I think he has more touchdown upside. I mean, like Schultz competing with Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon out of the backfield. Who's the offensive coordinator there in Houston?
Slowick? Is it Bobby Slowick?
Yeah. Talking about how every great offense is able to run the football near the goal line. They have a fantastic running game when you get near the goal line. Like, yeah, I mean, Taysom, he's boom bust, but I mean, I think Schultz is too. But Taysom, he might get like a goal line carry or 2 in this game. So I'll just take my chances with Taysom, honestly. It's 2024 and we're still talking about Taysom Hill. How is this even possible?
I mean, I really don't even want to say that you should consider him, but how can you not when basically all that Dennis Allen just talked about this offseason, besides hating Kendry Miller for no reason,
right,
is Taysom Hill. Like, he's like the everything for this team. And honestly, how many weapons do they have outside of Taysom Hill? There's Chris Olave. All right, Rashid Shaheed's kind of like the deep threat. And then I don't know. Like, that's
Kamara?
it.
But Kamara's not going to get
there,
the goal line work.
Yeah, just go Taysom, see what happens.
Crazy.
All right, Vinny is up. Vinny Vargas got a 10-teamer. I know Vinny's also in a deep one, like a 16-teamer, but this is a 10-teamer. Rates and starts. Got Murray and Harrison, Olave, Brees, Ford, Kincaid, Waddle on the bench, Pittman, Rico, Gus, Godwin, Spears, Hollywood, Mason.
Bless you. All right. Harrison, Olave, Waddle, Pittman stacked at wide receiver as it should be. Brees Hall, Ford, Rico, Gus, Spears. So obviously when Hero RB here, you got like in the 10-teamer, I'm more okay with going elite QB, elite tight end because you can still get, I mean, you can still get Brees Hall, Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle. It's not the most stacked 10-team we've seen, but it's still really good. Jeez, I didn't even realize you also had Chris Godwin just chilling on the bench. And Hollywood when he comes. Jeez. I'll say 8-5 as far as start sits. Do I start? I don't think I could start Godwin over any of those players, honestly. Ford and Gus is close. It's PPR. I might give the edge to Ford.
Yeah, I'm not worried, but today, right, Chargers OC, we're talking about, I don't know if it was OC or somebody was saying about it's going to be a hot hand thing with Dobbins and Gus. I'm like,
that just makes me feel better about Gus.
Well, are we going to see more J.K. Dobbins than we expected? That's what I worry about.
I mean, probably, but if he's out, I think he's going to be very ineffective.
Right. I know. I should know better. All right. Coach speak, go away. Yeah, I think you're fine. Your starting lineup is fine. This is a very good team, 8-5. And then also Dawn is back. Dawn GW. That's right.
What's up, Don?
Excited. Hopefully, y'all drafted well. Python in the house as always. Yep.
What's up, Python?
All right. Next one is Brian Henry. 8-team non-PPR. All right. Stroud, Goff, JJ, Chase, Waddle, Pittman, Worthy, Kyron Jacobs, Mixon, Connor, Zamir White, and Pitts.
I mean, it's going to be hard to say moves to make because, like, you can't drop any of these players. Like, you literally cannot drop. Like, the only way, maybe you could drop Goff. Like, maybe you could drop Goff if you wanted to. But the only way you're going to ever drop any of these players is probably if they get hurt. So, there's not really any moves to make. As far as your lineup goes, I mean, yeah, JJ and Chase on the same team. Nice. Waddle, Pittman. Well, I don't know how many you start here. If you start 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex, I'm going Stroud, JJ Chase, Kyron Jacobs. I'm flexing probably Waddle, but you could also flex Pittman if you want and be totally fine. Oh, wait, hold on. It's non-PPR? Okay.
Non-PPR.
Scratch that. JJ Chase, Stroud at QB, Kyron Jacobs, I guess Mixon as the flex. Although I do really like Zamir, like Antonio Pierce talking like, this is a guy we need to give him 15, 20, 25 touches. And that's when he really like he's going to be an absolute workhorse. But Mixon is on the Texans offense and he's in that Raiders offense. So maybe I will give the slight edge to Mixon this week. So let's go JJ Chase, Kyron Jacobs, Mixon, Stroud, and Pitts.
Yep, that works. Only Pitts is your only tight end. Hopefully he's fine. I think he's fine. Yeah, there's no moves to make. You can't make this team better, and nor do you need to. This is about 22 years ago. This is how it first was, although actually my very first league was a touchdown-only league. But touchdown only. Suzanne B, got the YouTube membership, wants to know Gus or Singletary.
I'm going Gus. I just like the matchup better. I like his touchdown upside better. Like Singletary's fine, but how good can he be in this Giants offense? Give me Gus.
Big on Gus this week. Not going to worry about the JK coach speak. Let's just go full Gus. Huge upside. Singletary, I know he's going to get the touches, but I don't know how good this offense is going to be. I think you're good with Gus. And then we got Michelle Phelps. PPR. Superflex. Playing 3 running backs. Starting Lamb, who you play in the other 2 spots here. Rice, Kupp, Smith, Watson, Marvin Harrison.
Oh, man. You got some choices here. I think you got to go Harrison. I do really like Kupp this week. I really like Watson this week. I really like Rice this week. I think I'm going to go Harrison and Kupp, but if you want to have a sweat tonight, like in the game, go with Rice. I think he'll be good. But I think I'm going Harrison and Kupp.
Yeah, I think with these options, I'll probably say Rice can kind of take a backseat. Watson, huge upside, but I don't know if I can sit those others for him. Yes, start CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
Yes, start CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I think, look, and not because of where you drafted him, but we really expect Marvin Harrison to be an alpha from day one. Start Marvin Harrison. Not really scared of that Buffalo defense too much. I think it'll be fine, but it's not what it used to be, especially in the secondary. So I would go Harrison and then Kupp and Smith. I don't know. You had talked me into Kupp, like booming, going off in week 1, and now we're like, I don't know. It's like,
I still think you look at the matchup, you look at the Lions again. He should. They give up a ton over the middle. I'm not sold. They were one of the worst secondaries last year. Now they did make some moves this year, but from the limited time that we saw in preseason, it doesn't look like they're there yet. I think this could be one of those defenses where like early in the season we're just saying like play your wide receivers against the Lions, and then all of a sudden there's like a point where it's like, okay, hold on, maybe you don't want to play your wide receivers against the Lions anymore. They're starting to come together. But I don't think it's going to be in week 1. But again, I really like Rashee Rice. I also really like Watson. So if you're like, hey, I want to like have a player in the game tonight, roll out Rashee Rice. Like no reason he shouldn't be great tonight. There's no Hollywood. Worthy making his first ever NFL start. It should be a great game. He's got Mahomes. He should be great tonight.
And the good news, Michelle, is that these are all good choices. None of these are in any way a wrong answer. If it's me, I would go Kupp and Harrison, but yeah, this is a close one. And then gimme Goblin 404 error.
Okay, I would love to know the backstory of that name.
That's an interesting.
There's got to be a great backstory to that name.
And I expect with that name a much different kind of avatar, but half PPR.
I'm guessing at one time there was, and then he's moved on to just a picture of himself.
maybe. Okay, Devontae Smith or DK?
Ooh. Okay, to your second question, no, don't drop Devonta Smith for Amari Cooper. Even though I do like Amari Cooper, and also what league size is this that Amari Cooper is on the waiver wire?
Yeah, right.
And also, okay, so I have 3 questions for you. I need the backstory for your name. I need to know what size league has Amari Cooper on the waiver wire, and I didn't know who is the worst player on your team because you should probably drop him for Amari Cooper. That being said, I still go DK this week. I know he's going to get past Surtain, but I feel good about DK. Really though, this is uber close. Either of these guys will be good this week. Again, if you want to like, hey, I want to have like some skin in that Friday game so I can sit on the couch, and watch it and like, then go with Devonta Smith. But I think in a vacuum, I'm going DK.
Yeah, again, no wrong answer here. I'll go DK, but again, you definitely want to try to get Cooper, but definitely do not drop Smith. Yeah, not even if it's a 4-team league, probably Amari Cooper should still be rostered somehow.
He said 8-team league, but still Amari Cooper should be rostered in an 8-team league. How is like no one drafted Amari? Like I don't want that bum.
Weird. Keith, with a reminder, if you do have some skin in tonight's game, don't put those guys in your flex. We talked about this a lot. A little pro tip there, because that kind of limits your flexibility for obvious reasons. But you got Rashee Rice, put him as a wide. If you're going to start him, put him as a wide receiver, not the flex. But just something that you shall know. And then
he said his wife gave him the YouTube name. So, I mean, look, shout out to your wife, but that's not the backstory I was hoping for.
Yeah. Let's make up something that's better. And then Keith also, little PSA here. We did start a survivor pool. If that's very simple. It's pick a team to win, and then after you pick that team, assuming you advance and you make the right choice, you can't pick that team ever again. If you want details or you just want to join the Discord, where guys like Keith and many others besides us give some very good advice, you can just hang out with the community. Join the Discord. Chat will have the link shortly, I'm assuming. I see you.
Yes, let me get the link because I don't think we can post the link to the survivor pool because I think that is technically
no. They can find that in the channel. And you'll find it pretty easily, but there you go. I think I put it
in the Discord link that I just dropped in the chat. Even if you don't want to play in the pool, you should go to the Discord because, like you said, there's a lot of sharp people on there. It's always I can't even keep up. I wake up in the morning and I have like all these notifications, and there's like every channel is just like so many. I'm like, I'm like overwhelmed.
Right. It's good. A lot of good information, breaking news is on there. That's where I get it. I look at the Discord and someone's already posting it. So, and discussion and other things. All right. Prime has 105 underdog teams. That
good luck, Prime. You got me beat too. I did not make my goal of 150, unfortunately. Not even close.
Yeah,
Next year.
Didn't max
Next year.
that thing. Other things like life got in the way, but hey, I know this year I did more best ball drafts than I ever have before. It's definitely not 100 though. That's no. But
Good
this is
luck. Hope you
actually
take it down.
do a good.
I
Yeah,
said
I
good,
mean you don't
good
need to
luck.
max
Hope
it
you
out.
take it down.
I'm gonna take it down anyways. Which by the way, and anybody who just jumped on, anybody who's new, I know we definitely have a lot of new faces here. You're like, what's Underdog? What is that? Well, Underdog is the place to go because best ball season, yeah, it's over. You're not going to draft teams anymore. Although I actually think they still have a couple of contests open. I was looking today. The marathon is still open, the sprint, a couple of those season longs, but it's pick'em time. Do those picks for NFL, which means you can go higher, lower on all sorts of things. Almost every player that you would even possibly recognize on every team from every game, NFL and college football and baseball and every other sport that exists. And that even includes esports, which I guess is technically a sport these days. It's all on there. So you do the picks and great chance to win, especially if you join right now, because just for today, it's Thursday. It's 30% Thursday. I should be switched. 30% profit boost token. That's right. You put a pick 'em and you could win an extra 30%. Just use that token. That's available. But of course, you have to have an account on Underdog. So for some reason you don't yet, you haven't tried it, this is the time to do it because you go and you sign up, use promo code ENDGAME. That gets you that token. You get that deposit match up to $1,000, but also you still have time. You got maybe an hour left. You can get a free pick, Travis Kelce. He gets 1 yard, you win that pick. So a free pick, the bonus booster, whatever promo they have going on tomorrow will be something else that's really cool. And we also, if you haven't noticed, we drop like a little Easter egg in every one of our start sit videos. We tell you some of our favorite picks that might help you, that you can pair with the Travis Kelce pick. You know, some of y'all have picked up on that. So yeah, all that said, if you haven't tried Underdog, just go check it out now. Download the app and make sure you use that promo code ENDGAME. Yeah, there's some pick'ems I didn't know. I mean, I didn't notice because there's so many. Like I just scrolled through. They have Rico Dowdle rushing at like 27 yards or something. Like, do we really think Zeke is the number one guy there? Like,
maybe. And another thing I saw that they're starting to do, which is really cool, which they're starting to have, instead of just saying like, okay, like Lamar Jackson, let's just say 250 passing yards higher or lower. You can actually say like, well, I want 235. I want to go like 235 passing yards, but then instead of getting like the full, you get slightly, like instead of getting like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
The incremental decrease,
right? So you could say, well, I want to go higher on more passing yards, and instead of getting 1x, you get like 1.2x. You know what I mean? That's gonna really open
yeah, I've
things up.
noticed that.
That's really cool.
That's cool. It allows you to be either more or less aggressive depending on how you're feeling. But it's there's so much you get lost on there. But let's not get lost. We still have questions to answer. So let's get I don't know about this one, Angelo. Would you go higher on a Carson Steele touchdown?
I would not, but you can take Isaiah Pacheco half a touchdown, and if he gets vultured by Carson Steele, you don't lose.
Vulture protection. That was last night's promo we talked about. Yeah, another thing. I already used mine. We'll see how that works. But all right, let's get to
Derrick
Wes.
Henry vulture protection tonight.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's vulturing Derrick Henry. Like, why? Well, I guess Lamar Jackson could, but probably not. Okay, Wes. Speaking of tonight, got Rice, Pacheco, Walker, Coleman, Pittman, one running back, one flex.
As much as I like Walker, I think I still got to go Pacheco, and I'm going to go, even though I like Rice, I'm going to go Pittman. So I'm going to go Pacheco and Pittman.
Yeah, definitely not Coleman here to this group. I'm going to go Pittman. I don't know. I want to go Walker because, again, I could be overestimating A, how good Seattle might be in offense, and B, how bad Denver might be. It might be close, but I'm big on Walker. I know you probably drafted Pacheco first, but based on matchups, I would take the shot on Walker, but it could go either way. That's really close. And then Pittman at receiver. Maximus wants to know.
Yes.
Oh yeah, like this is a big yes for you. Keenan and
Yeah,
D Hop for Terry.
Two guys I'm not even really in on this year for a guy I love. So yes, give me Terry.
Yeah, and I agree. I do like Ridley's potential in this offense. Hopkins will be what he was last year, but maybe less because Ridley's there.
Yeah, not only that, Ridley's there and Tyler Boyd is there, who, by the way, Brian Callahan knows very well from Cincinnati. So don't think Tyler Boyd's going to just be out there running wind sprints. So yeah, 32 years old, already has a knee injury. It's football. I mean, it happens. It happens to these guys. He's not going to be, it just happens. Yeah, give me Terry.
Do this and look, Hill, Olave, Pickens, Hollywood. You're never starting Keenan or D Hop anyways with those 3-4 receivers. So upgrade. There you go. Do it. All right. And then we got Andres Huerta. Thank you. And what is up? Got a 10-team PPR. Tua and Achane. Good start. Connor, Hill, AJB, Laporta, Waddle. All right. Go Fins. I could definitely say you're going to be saying that a lot this year. Ramondre, Purdy, Aaron Jones, Chase Brown, Jason, McConkey, and Hollywood traded Ridley for Waddle. Straight up.
Wow. And now he's trying to trade, saying thoughts on trading Connor for Kyron. I mean, if you can pull off Connor for Kyron, absolutely do it as well. I mean, you're very Dolphin.
What made somebody think I had to settle for Waddle in whatever round you got him in, but I really would prefer Ridley.
Are people this worried about Kyron returning punts? They're like, well, Connor's not a punt returner at least, so give me Connor. You're definitely wider. I mean, you're definitely Dolphin heavy here, but I mean, Hill, AJ Brown, and Waddle with Hollywood coming back at some point. Achane, Connor, Jones, Chase Brown. I mean, your running backs are good. Stevenson, they're good. You got Tua. You got Laporta. I mean, if you get Kyron, this team is like a 9-5 for sure.
Yes.
Right now, I'll say it's like an 8-7.
Yeah. Exactly what I was thinking. If you can turn Connor into Kyron, this is a 9.5. But that's all right. Well done. So far, guys. Well done. Do it. Rome 9669 got Love, Evans, Metcalf, Henry, Pollard, Ferg, Cooper, Kyler. Okay, so super flex, I assume. Jake Elliott and Dallas defense. What do we think?
Wow, Rome taking the parentheses to a new level. Not even putting the group positions. Every player gets their own parentheses now. Even easier to read. All right, so yeah, assume it's super flex. So Love and Kyler as your QBs in a super flex is fantastic. Evans, Metcalf is very good. Henry, Pollard, good enough. Ferguson, Cooper is your flex, very good. Obviously, don't know the bench here, but just looking at the starting lineup, this is really good. So starting lineup in a super flex league, I'll give this 8.75. If you just had a different RB2, I'm not completely out on Pollard, but I just worry he's just going to be meh. If you had an RB2 I liked a little bit more than Pollard, it'd probably be a 9. But even still, 8.75. Very, very good team.
Yeah, I mean, 2 really good quarterbacks for super flex. You have Evans, Metcalf. They're borderline, but not quite number 1 receivers. I guess Evans might technically be, but you know what I'm saying. You don't have one of those clear, first studs. But really good team. I'd say it's about an 8.5 considering it's super flex. And then Jeff wants to know, would you trade Ford to get Lamar Jackson?
Only in a super flex, but nobody's going to do that in a super flex, I hope. In a 1 QB league, no. I mean, unless you're like, hey, I totally punted QB and everybody in my league took 2 or 3 QBs, and by the time I drafted a QB, I got Gardner Minshew. Okay, if you're going to have to start Gardner Minshew every week, sure, give me Lamar Jackson. But if you're starting anybody halfway decent, Nah, just stream QB.
I mean, I really want to say this depends. I mean, who are your other running backs? Is Ford like your third or fourth running back? And then who's your quarterback? If this is a massive upgrade at quarterback for you, then sure, you can do it. I feel like you should do this just because Lamar should be valued higher than Jerome Ford. You know what I mean? And maybe you can flip Lamar for something else later. But this really depends on your roster and all that. So, Blair Davis, welcome back, Blair. All right, as requested, more parentheses, full PPR.
Like it.
Got AR and Love, Kamara, Moss, Chandler, McLaughlin, Hill, Collins, Cooper, Worthy, Cooks, Mooney, Kincaid, and Taysom. Rate my team. You're welcome as always.
All right, so you definitely went 0 RB here, but like going 0 RB and getting Kamara as your RB1 is not, especially in PPR, like not bad at all. Moss, Chandler, McLaughlin could be an issue at RB2. We'll see. But you got Hill, Collins, Cooper, Worthy, Cooks, Mooney. So pretty good there. I think the question I would ask you, who was on the board when you took Jordan Love or Anthony Richardson? Like, could you have, instead of Richardson, and I really like Anthony Richardson. I'm not off Anthony Richardson, but instead of Anthony Richardson in a 12-team league, could you have gotten, one more very, very, very good wide receiver or one more solid RB and then still gotten Love, or vice versa? Like, once you already have Richardson, when Love was on the board, were there still decent running backs like Gus Edwards, Devin Singletary, Jerome Ford, Javonte Williams, maybe even Zamir White, guys like that who I'd feel better about as my RB2? Just a question. Obviously, has no bearing on how I'm going to rate the team, but just a thought there.
Yeah, I could have waited. This team could have been better if waiting on or not taking a second quarterback. I mean, think about what Richardson was probably taking, high-end receiver, which you didn't need, or even a solid RB1. So yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. This could have been better, but it's still solid.
It's still solid. I'm gonna say an 8, because again, I mean, Moss, Chandler, McLaughlin, you might really be hurting at RB2, which isn't the worst thing. I always say that's not the worst thing. But your wide receivers, even though I like your wide receivers and they're good, they're not it's not like a stacked wide receiver room, right? Like, you got Hill, Collins, Cooper, that's good, but then you got Worthy, you got Cooks and Mooney, who I do like as late round wide receivers, but they're late round wide receivers for a reason. So I'm going to say an 8.
Yep, that sounds about right. So we'll see what happens with this team, but overall pretty good. Anthony Ort, Worthy, Brian Thomas, or Eckler. Pick one.
You know what? Just give me Worthy tonight. I mean, this guy in one play, you could be happy you started Worthy. Not saying it's going to happen, but that's the kind of upside he has. Eckler, I mean, what is the ceiling for Eckler? Like, he gets 4 or 5 dump offs, and maybe he falls into the end zone if you're lucky. I mean, really, what are we expecting from Eckler? Brian Thomas Jr., yeah, not feeling great about him this week. Maybe as the season goes on. So I'm just going to gamble with Worthy tonight.
Yeah, Eckler is really, I think, throughout the season, just going to be a bye week fill-in if needed. Yeah, what I expect from Eckler is 6 catches, 38 yards. That's what it is. He's going to catch tough balls. Give me the big play upside. Both Thomas and Worthy, rookies, field stretchers, same thing. Let's go with a guy who has Pat Mahomes. Go Worthy, especially since Hollywood is out. Although AB has some confidence here. Maybe we're right. Worthy, first touchdown. That's not a bad one.
Not a bad one at all.
All right. Apparently we're not too bad. DC, the best start set advice on the net. All right. Appreciate it.
Wow, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. I only put that up because he's a member. That's the only reason.
Sure.
Ugly Cheech God Raider Nation.
All right.
Another story somewhere there.
Yes.
Would you go more over Higgins at the flex?
Yeah, it looks like Chase is playing. I still like Higgins. I know he showed up on the injury report with a hamstring today, but he said after practice that it's the best he's ever felt. He's ready to go, so I'm not worried about it. But now that Chase looks like he's almost certainly going to play, just give me DJ Moore.
Yeah, no reason not to like DJ Moore this week. Got Jettis and Wilson. You're good with your first two, and then Kamara and Monty. Oh yeah, so go Moore, and you're pretty good. All right, what about D-Rock Will? Last draft. Okay,
All right.
Nothing like the last minute. First pick, 10 team. PPR with 3 flex. Got Richardson, Collins, Ayuk, CMC. That's good. Connor, Kittle, Pittman, Deontay, Brian Robinson. And on the bench, we got Thomas, Jameson, Benson, Mason, Hollywood.
All right. Collins, Ayuk, Pittman, Deontay, Hollywood coming back at some point. I mean, that's very, very, very good at wide receiver. CMC, Connor, Brian Robinson, Benson. So I guess you got the Connor and the CMC handcuffs. That's pretty good. I mean, you can't be upset with CMC and Connor as your RB2. Should feel really good. You got Richardson, Kittle. It's very, very good team here. I know it's 10 teams, so it's like it should be stacked. I mean, I know right now Brian Robinson Jr. is my flex. Doesn't feel good, but when Hollywood comes back, he'll be your flex. That'll be really nice. I'm going to say 8.75.
Yeah, deep at receiver. Obviously, CMC, your anchor there. Yeah, I do like the bench. I think that's smart. I mean, you don't need to stack a ton of running backs on your bench. You have CMC, right? Last year, just get Mason and plug him in. So it's good. 8.75 sounds right. And then Ramsey, Abigail. Curtis Samuel, Romeo Dobbs, or Rashid Shaheed. Who are you flexing this week?
Ooh, this is actually really close between Samuel and Dobbs for me. Samuel seems fine. He's been a full practice participant. The toes, it doesn't seem to be an issue. And they get that Cardinals secondary. I mean, that could be really good. But Dobbs gets that Eagles secondary, both in crowded receiver rooms. This is really close between those two guys. Like Dobbs could score, but Samuel could get you more yards and maybe more catches. I think I'm going Samuel barely.
It will be interesting to see how they use Samuel because, part of his appeal is he can go in the backfield. Maybe they'll give him some touches there, some work near the goal line. Yeah, this one is really close between Dobbs and Samuel. Again, we don't know exactly how that Packers receiver room is going to shake out. With Watson healthy, does that affect Dobbs? That's what you got to wonder. So let's see. I mean, Watson is there for Green Bay. Keon Coleman's probably not going to be too involved for Buffalo. So, yeah, let's try Samuel and see how many touches he gets. I think Brian might be ready for football to start. I'm not sure.
Yes, I am ready.
Let's go.
I am ready too, Brian. Let's go.
Anthony also. Yes. Anthony, just subscribe. Appreciate it, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it.
All right. Next super chat. We're going to get there. By the way, guys, if you did drop a super chat or if you have that membership, we will try to answer all those questions first and then get to some regular ones. But we're catching up. So Vinny also wants to know Pittman, Waddle, or Gus at the flex. And yes, he thankfully dropped Dalvin Cook.
Nice. Now watch Dalvin Cook go out there and score 3 touchdowns. Assuming it's PPR, half or regular or full, I'm going Waddle. If it's completely non-PPR, I'll go Gus.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Vinny, if this is that 10-teamer from before. I think he plays PPR. So, assuming it's PPR, not Gus. So, probably, I mean, you can go with either of those receivers, but probably Waddle more upside. And then Jay, 1364, also just saying welcome back, and welcome back to you.
Yes, welcome back.
Let's see. Sir Boomer's been giving us some updates on his best ball, still doing best ball drafts. I love it. I love the dedication. He said he's doing underdog tonight, tomorrow. If he has a second pick, who should he take?
CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. 1-1.
All right.
Or is he asking for drafting tomorrow?
And he said he took AJ Brown in the primetime Palooza draft. Yeah, there are still best ball drafts going on, all sorts of things still going on. So
yeah,
I've moved on.
They have weekly drafts. They have weekly drafts that they do all season as well. So
I'm glad you mentioned that because I've been talking about the pick'ems and best ball. They do have weekly drafts just for the Sunday slate. They have just for Monday. It's too much. All right, Braden, Callister, Higgins, or Rice?
I'm going to go Rice. Again, I like both these guys this week, but it does sound like Chase is going to play and be full go. I still like Higgins, but Rice should be the clear. Again, who's taking targets tonight? Maybe Worthy hits a big play. Kelsey's going to get some targets, sure, but Rice should be the guy tonight. I'm going right. And I don't know if you saw, but like Rashee Rice tweeted something out, and then Hollywood Brown quote tweeted it. Is it even called tweet anymore? Whatever. You guys don't want to talk about it. Tweet. And he said, your performance in game 1 is going to feed families with a rocket ship. That's enough for me. I'm going Rice. I don't know how Rashee Rice's performance is going to feed families, but that's what Hollywood said.
Well, I'll buy into that. Yeah, he's going to still be the number 1 receiver, if not target there. It looks like Chase is playing. I mean, probably. So go Rice. And then Dylan, Matos, full PPR, Javonte or Mostert?
I think I'm going Mostert here. Javonte is probably your safer bet because he could catch 4 or 5 plus passes. But Mostert has that touchdown upside, so I'm going to go Mostert.
Yeah, I'm going to go Mostert as well. Again, he's still going to be 1A, 1B, doesn't matter. He's still going to have a ton of upside. So
yep.
There you go.
I think Mostert's going to get more touches
again. So conflicted if I should start Rice tonight. Okay. Would you start him over Wilson?
No.
Cup?
No.
Or London?
I wouldn't. But I will say, again, if you're like, hey, it's Thursday Night Football, it's the first game, I want to have a little sweat on the game, I want to have some action in the game, I could put Rice in over London or Cup. But I would like it. If I'm like, I want to score the most fantasy points, I'm going with London and Cup. But if I'm like, hey, like I don't think Rice is going to be much worse than those guys, and he could be better. But in a vacuum, I'm going Wilson, Cup, in London.
Again, all high-end choices, options there, but I'm not going to start Rice over those guys. And then let's do Wolfman because it's a question for tonight. You know, Wolfman's always on. Zay or London?
Again, London is the guy I want to start this week. London is the guy I'm starting. But if you want some skin in the game, a little bit of action tonight, Zay should be fine. But London in a vacuum.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with London. Carl got the hot takes as usual. Carl Williams. Mike Williams goes off and stays healthy all year. I think the second one's even bolder than the first.
We'll see. We'll see.
He's definitely not going off this week because they even said he's barely going to play, or he's going to be on a snap count or something.
Yeah, they're gonna slow play him. Obviously, coming off ACL.
All right. Hey, we'll see. We'll see if you nail that one, Carl. Finn's Fanatic. 12-team PPR. Would you trade Njoku for Dell?
I have not. I mean, I want to say.
Have no.
I want to say I would.
Sorry, maybe I should read this whole thing because he's asking 2 questions. And he's saying I have no tight end running with Jonnu Smith. That's not the worst, but it's a 12-teamer. So Njoku for Dell, Kirk for Bowers. What? Okay. Well, no.
So he's saying. So you're saying you would trade Dell to get Njoku or trade Kirk to get Bowers? No.
Yeah, so that should be switched. I thought it was trading Njoku to get Dell, but you're actually saying you have no tight ends, so he would be trading Dell to get Njoku. I wouldn't do that.
I mean, Jonnu Smith is. I mean, like Jonnu Smith is fine, but he's the best guy out there on a 12-teamer. Even like, there's no like Taysom's not out there. I don't know.
I like Jonnu Smith this week, but I wouldn't trade one of those guys. No. You can
Just
stream
tight end. Look,
yeah.
After this weekend, it's going to be like, oh, this tight end is actually more involved than we ever thought he would be, and so is this tight end, and so is this tight end. Like, it's okay. It might hurt for week 1, but remember last year, nobody drafted Laporta, nobody drafted McBride, nobody drafted Kincaid. Njoku was a super late draft pick that a lot of people dropped because he was doing nothing. Like, it's okay at tight end. It's okay. Don't trade a really good wide receiver for a okay tight end.
Yeah, it's okay to stream tight end sometimes, but also if you want to try to buy into like a Bowers, who I think could come on, wait. I don't think he'll do very much early in the season, and then you could wait and get him maybe super cheap later in the season. I don't think anyone will just drop him, but you never know. People do things. Okay, this is Swerve 215. Rate my team: Kyler, CMC, Evans, Cup, Waddle, Neighbors, McBride on the bench, Spears, Gus, Herbert, McConkey, Williams, and Mason.
All right, 12-man half PPR. So you got CMC with. You only have to start one running back? If that's the case, because that's what it looks like, which I love that, by the way, then okay. You're great at running back. Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, Malik Neighbors as your wide receiver 4 is fine. Obviously, like, bench running backs aren't going to be as important if you only need one. You got McConkey on the bench. You got league-winning Mike Williams on the bench. Look, you got Jordan. If CMC goes down, you're probably just putting Jordan Mason in. So I don't even know if you need Spears or Gus Edwards, because it's like, well, CMC can turn up just playing Jordan Mason anyways. You got Murray and McBride stack. Man, we've seen a lot of those Murray McBride stacks this year. That's great. Because it's only a one running back league, I'm gonna say it's a 9.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what it is, exactly. You can't do better than CMC as your one running back, and you got deep receiver core. Sensing a little Chargers fandom, perhaps. You don't need to keep Mike Williams, but other than that, yeah, you're really good. I'd say it's about a 9. All right, you're gonna like this for 2 reasons. So number one, we have a new member whose avatar does definitely match the name. Thick Fingers.
Okay.
Thank you for the membership.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And a defense question.
Oh boy.
Browns or Saints?
I mean, am I really this scared of the Cowboys that I'm not going to start the Browns at home this week? I think I still just go the Browns.
I mean,
Saints
the
are
Browns
fine
at home, and yes, they're a good defense, but I got to go Saints because, I mean, they're at home, whatever. Home, going against Carolina.
Yeah, that's true.
Their implied point total is far lower, but also Saints are really good at turnovers as far as interceptions. They were one of the best last year. Sacks, I think their implied sack total is very high. This week, I'm going to give the edge to the Saints.
All right. That probably makes sense, honestly.
All right. But thank you, Thick Fingers. Keith Vine, Tua, London, Ayuk, Barkley, Mostert, Muth, Deontay on the bench is Ridley, Hubbard, B-Rob, likely Leggett, and I guess must be Keaton Mitchell.
Okay, so I'm going to assume, or maybe AD Mitchell. But either way, you're not starting him.
Oh, maybe it is AD Mitchell. I was like,
I'm going to assume 2 running back. I'm going to assume 2 running back. Well, okay, so he's got – okay, yeah. So he's got London Ayuk in there with Deontay in the flex, Barkley, Mostert, Muth, Tua. Is there anybody – see, I mean, I don't want to start Ayuk this week, but I'm not starting Leggett over him. I'm not starting Mitchell over him. I'm probably not even starting Ridley over him because it's not like Ridley has a smash matchup, and I'm not flexing like Brian Robinson or Chuba Hubbard so I think you're good.
Yeah, nobody on the bench really needs to jump over Ayuk or Mostert, any of those guys. So Yeah, I think you're pretty good, Keith. You got a pretty strong lineup here. Some guys who could go off this week. We'll see what Ayuk does. Don't have great expectations, but he's still startable for sure. So there you go. Angel Chacon, 10-team PPR. Got Allen Henry, Achan, Rice, Dell, Kincaid. Brees is the flex. All right, so running back heavy in a PPR league. Worthy, Stevenson, Jaden Reed, Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and Keon Coleman. What rank and starts it?
Henry Achan, Brees is your flex. That is Rice Dell at wide receiver is, I mean, yeah, obviously stacked at running back. You got an elite QB. You get the Allen Kincaid stack. That's pretty nice. Rice Dell at wide receivers, okay. You got Worthy, Reed on the bench. The running backs are like a 10. QB tight end is a 10. Wide receivers are like a 7.5 for a 10-teamer. So we'll average that out to, I don't even know what that averages out to. I'll just say 8.25.
Well, at least, you went early RB. At least you have receivers or running backs who will act as receivers, right? Catch a lot of passes. Achan could catch a lot of passes. Yeah, I mean, I don't love Rice as my number one receiver, and Dell is my number two receiver in a 10-teamer. So this might be a team where you benefit eventually from swapping out one of those running backs for a high-end receiver, but overall, you still have a good talent on this team. Right now, I'll say, as much as I like all those players, I'll say it's like an 8 until things get balanced out. But yeah, it's still definitely very good. All right, and then Brian just dropped the super sticker. I think we gave Brian a shout out earlier. I don't know if there's another question
Brian.
around here. Yes, there is. All right. 12-team Superflex Dynasty. Would you send Garrett Wilson and Purdy to get Stroud, Reed, and a third?
Nope. I don't think. I think at this point we have to view Purdy as like at least a top 12 dynasty QB. He's super young. He's on the 49ers. They just locked up Ayuk for multiple years. I don't think the drop off from Stroud to Purdy is nearly the same as it is from G. Will to Reed. We're talking about like a top 5, top 7 dynasty wide receiver versus like a top, I don't know, maybe 20 dynasty wide receiver, something like that. So I'm taking the G. Will Purdy side for sure.
Yeah, I want that stud receiver. I mean, I know quarterback matters. Of course, it's a super flex league. But Purdy, like you said, should be a starter. Maybe your QB1 because he says Goff is his other QB. Yeah, I would rather have the G. Will side. The third doesn't make any difference for me either way.
Right.
All right, Walter Nelson dropped a super chat. Thank you, Walter. Looking to see if there's a question from Walter. So if I find it, we'll pop it up there. Or Chris, if you see it, let me know.
Take a look. 4:15.
We'll keep going. We do want to catch up. Try to get to hopefully all the super chats before the game starts.
Yes.
So let's go to Mikey. Are we in PPR? Are we flexing Mostert, Javonte, or Stevenson?
Again, I think Javonte and Stevenson probably give you a higher floor than Mostert, but I mean, Mostert has that touchdown upside. He could score 2. So I think even in PPR, I'm still going Mostert.
Agree. Don't feel great about Javonte this week. Don't feel great about the Patriots in general. Stevenson, a floor play. Mostert, the ceiling play. That's what we're going to shoot for. So still go Mostert this week. Zymalik is back. Hurts, Saquon, or Lamar Henry. So he's asking which QB RB duo you'd prefer, the Eagles or the Ravens?
I think probably the Eagles one. Just because I feel like Saquon and Henry are very equal. I mean, Hurts and Lamar are pretty equal, but I still like Hurts just a little bit more. I mean, people are all worried, like just because Jason Kelsey retired, like now the Eagles are like, well, we can't ever do the tush push again. That's it. We're never doing the tush push again. It was all Jason Kelsey. Like the tush push only existed because of Jason Kelsey. No, it's not why they're still going to tush push plenty. He's still going to get 8 cheap touchdowns from the 1-yard line this year or something. So because of that, I'll take Hurt Saquon.
Exactly. I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles. Really think that Eagles offense could go off this year under new offensive coordinator. I think that was a lot of the issue last year, the inconsistency. Yeah, I'm going to give the guy I think is the QB1 this year in Hurts and Saquon. King Henry, I'm all in on King Henry, but Saquon's not too bad. We did get a super chat from Tristram. Doesn't have a question, just wants to say, here we are, opening day, watch some football. Big shout out to everyone. Yes. All right. And then we do have Lex Dad. Half PPR needs a flex, Javonte, Godwin, Ford, or Dobbins.
Nah, not Dobbins. Even in half PPR, I'm going Godwin here. I think Godwin's going to have a big game. He can still be very good in half PPR. I'm going Godwin.
Yes, going Godwin here. And then he also wants to know rest of season, rank them. Well, is Godwin still number one? If it's half PPR, probably.
Yeah, Godwin, Javonte, Ford. I only have Ford third because maybe there's a chance if Chubb comes back at some time, the Browns give him senseless touches. And then Dobbins last.
Right. Let's see Dobbins hold up for any sort of extended period of time. Godwin's first, Dobbins is last. I'm going forward, then Javonte. So Godwin, Ford, Javonte, Dobbins. And he's saying with help, went 2 for 2 in the Super Bowl last season. Let's do it again. That's what we're here for.
Do it again.
Awesome. All right. Steven, 10-teamer, full PPR, super flex. All right. So this is how he drafted with the 6. Got Bijan at the 6. Got Mahomes. So Mahomes was, no. So this is a super flex league. You got Mahomes in the 2nd and Lamar in the 3rd. Is that what I'm seeing?
Wait, you started the draft Bijan, Mahomes, Lamar.
It's a super flex, and Pat Mahomes is not a first-round pick.
Nor is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, not even a second-round pick. Not even worth a second.
I think you
Yahoo gave me a D- grade. Come on, this is at least a D+.
Yeah, I think you win.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. Well, you know what? I can't even say you win because there's probably some other team out there that has I don't know, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts to go with CMC. CMC, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts on the same team probably. I don't know. Crazy.
Well, look, not knowing it's a 10 team, this is still much better than
there's no justifying Mahomes and Lamar not in the first round in Superflex in any league size.
I'm going to give this whole draft a D- grade because it's ridiculous that those guys went that late. But look, your team is really good, so hopefully better than everybody else's. All right, let's go to Cowboys. Not Cowboys in this question. We got Rashee Rice or James Conner.
Half PPR. I'm going to go Rice. I like Rice enough. He's got touchdown upside. I like Conner too. But give me Rashee Rice.
Right. Half PPR makes it closer, but let's go Rice. And then we got Stephon Barr, Kirk or Watson in the flex.
I'm going Watson. Kirk, I think will be solid this week, but Watson's got just so much upside this week. He's healthy. Let's go Watson.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk totally fine. Should get plenty of targets. I expect a lot of passing in that game. We've been talking up Watson. Can't back down now.
No.
Got not 1, but 2 hamstrings this year. So we'll see how that pays off.
So far.
So far, yeah. Frosty needs 2. Harris, Ford, Godwin, Ridley.
I'm going Godwin and Ford. Again, not feeling good about Ridley this week against Jalen Johnson. Najee is like, he's fine. Ready to see CPAT score 2 touchdowns and just frustrate everybody. So Godwin and Ford.
Yes. Already expressed some concerns with Ridley's matchup. Expressed concern with Najee's play caller. Yeah, Ford will be fine. Godwin should smash. So there you go. And then is it L or Eli? L Antoine? Eli. Sorry, can't tell. They're like, okay. Eli Antoine, rate and start half PPR, 2 QBs, Tua Goff, Lamb, Wilson, Devontae, Derrick Henry, Jacobs, Ingram. How deep is this league is what I want to know. Najee, and then the bench is Hollywood, Palmer, Mason, Nix, Jaleel, and Sharps. Good job.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this was a 12-team league and he just punted QB because, I mean, Tua Goff as his QBs means he definitely waited. And if you do that, especially if you have like a later round, pick later, like pick 9, 10, somewhere around there, you can get Lamb and Garrett Wilson. So, I mean, the starting lineup, even with Tua Goff, I'm okay with that. Like, I think the starting lineup is phenomenal. You got Lamb, Wilson, Devonta Smith, Henry, Jacobs, Ingram.
Did actually say down here, just noticed it's a 10-teamer.
All right, well, okay, so that makes me a little lower on it then because, I mean, you are flexing Najee in a 10-teamer. Although you will have Hollywood coming back, so that's good. Yeah. If it was a 12-teamer, I would have been like, this is great. 10-teamer, it's still okay. It's like an 8. Give it an 8.
If it was a 12-teamer, I was actually ready to give it like a 9. It's just stacked. This is still really good though, because Tua Goff totally solid at quarterback. Probably to the more undervalued quarterbacks for fantasy. Yep. Studs at receiver. He's got 2 RB1s, basically a great tight end. So I'm still very impressed with this lineup. I give it an 8.5 because it's a 10-teamer. But yeah, this is very good. All right, now this one is pretty straightforward. Marco Polo, Robinson Jr. for Waddle.
Yeah, give me Waddle all day.
Easily. Even in a non-PPR league, you still do it.
Yes.
Jerry Peroto needs help with the flex. Got Devontae Smith, Najee, Javonte Williams, assuming Zamir White, Higgins, or Brian Thomas. So I guess just one.
Yeah, it's Devonta Smith. It might have been Higgins if Chase was out, but now that Chase is playing, I'm just going to go Devonta Smith. I know I talked about the Packers secondary being pretty good and the weirdness of the potentially out-of-country game, but still, I'm not going to play like Javonte or Najee or Zamir White or Brian Thomas over Smith. And with Chase back, I'll go Smith.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Smith here. Only maybe if Chase is completely out, could you consider Higgins? But otherwise, it should just be Smith. And then we got to circle back. Steven saying he also got McLaurin in the 7th round. So let's put up that previous one so we remember what we're talking about here. So give us a second, Steven. Actually, how far back was that? That wasn't too far back, was it?
No, it was there you go.
Okay, so also got McLaurin is what he's saying. I mean,
okay, I mean, so you're even more stacked.
The Mahomes Lamar team.
Yeah, okay. Was that just a humble brag to let everybody know? By the way, I also got McLaurin in the 7th.
I really am curious now, even if it's possible, maybe in the Discord, not here. I want to see a screenshot of how this draft went.
Yes, I would actually like to see that, definitely.
All right. Let's get to Ardo TV.
Ooh.
Tack or Baker? Legit question. This week, it's a legit question. Most weeks it won't. Does the matchup matter that much?
I don't think so. I think I still got to go Dak. It's actually tempting because the matchup is so good, but then I have visions of Baker wetting the bed and throwing like 3 interceptions. I'm still going Dak.
Yeah, I don't think I can do this. I gotta go Dak. He'll still put up some points, right? Might not be his best game of the year. He'll still be okay. And then more or Ford in the flex.
I got to go DJ Moore here. Just way more upside, I think, than Ford. Got to go DJ Moore.
Yeah, gotta go more. Now we are seeing a couple comments here. People saying there's some weather issues. It's raining tonight in KC. Yeah, you still want to start Lamar, but is that enough to make you?
Are we doing this again?
Every week.
Every year here. Here's what I'm seeing: 84 degrees, 21% chance of rain, 10 miles per hour wind. No. How often? Every year there's like 1 or 2 games where everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna be terrible," and then it's not that bad, and guys go off and they're like, "What was I thinking?" Yeah, no weather, NFL weather, no, don't care.
No, it's got to be something extreme. And like if it was like
wind is the one.
Wind, right? Yeah, these guys have played in rain before. Like if it's like you're 50-50, it's like Zay Flowers and Devontae Smith, and you're like, I don't know, okay, maybe that's a factor, but nah, don't bench Flowers.
Yeah,
not because of that.
It's 84 degrees. It's fine.
Yeah. Luis Rodriguez, non-PPR, QB, 2 receivers, running backs, tight end, and a flex. Okay, Purdy, Kyler. What does this say? SY? I'm not sure what that is.
I think it was just a typo.
Okay. CMC, Jacobs, Connor, Champs, Moss, Cup, Ridley, Moore, Christian Watson, Kittle. Okay, who can we start here? It's non-PPR.
Yeah, non-PPR. So you're going Kyler Murray at QB for sure. Going CMC Jacobs at your 2 running backs. Going Cup and DJ. Ooh. I still, as much as I like Watson, I still got to go Cup and DJ Moore at wide receiver. I'm going to flex James Conner because it's non-PPR. Although Watson is tempting, even in non-PPR. But I'll go Conner. Kittle at tight end.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to go Kyler there at quarterback for sure. Yeah, I think what you said is good. Look, maybe you already have Jacobs. You don't need to put another Packer in there. Just split the difference, go with a different player. So, all right, Luis, non-PPR. There you go. You're good. Jonathan Bondi, Superflex, PPR Dynasty, Tua and JD. Got Gibbs, Saquon, Hill, London, Bowers, flexing more, and Jones. On the bench, got Zamir White, Javonte Williams, Pollard, Terry, Schultz.
Terry on the bench is a PPR. I would be flexing Terry. Probably over Jones in PPR. Rate it. I mean, it's good. Like you got a good mix of young talent and still vets that are still studs. So even if like Saquon falls off or Hill falls off, you still got guys behind him like DJ Moore, Drake London, Terry McLaurin. You still got guys like Zamir White, Javonte Williams. You got 2 young, good, potentially good QBs. You got Bowers. I would say this is 8.75.
Yeah, for Superflex, definitely good. I like the bench. I mean, we don't know. This doesn't say how deep the league is, right? So if we're assuming it's a 12-teamer, then yeah, I'd go with that. I wonder for week 1, I know you're not crazy about Schultz. Is that a conversation? Bowers, Schultz?
I might just go Bowers.
Yeah, just see what he does.
See what he can do.
All right. And see. So just need to scroll down a little bit. He did say this is a 10-man league.
Okay. Maybe 8.5 then.
Yeah. It was an auction draft also. That matters. All right. The next super chat, which we're still catching up, guys. We did super chat last 30 minutes. We're going to get there. Let's get to Grayman Elite. Drafted Kyler in round 7, Cup round 5. He wants to know if that's just right.
I think that is just right. Maybe even a little bit of value on Cup. Just right though.
Yeah, I mean, depends on the format. I know Underdog is a little different because it's best ball, but I saw Cup go in round 3 a lot of times. Started to really climb towards the end of draft season, but yeah, back around 5. I know I'm not in on Cup that much as far as drafting, but I think that's where it's a good value. And I'm big on Kyler, so I think that is actually good value for both. And then the Kraken, what is up? Flexing, Mostert, Sutton, or Keon?
I'm just gonna go with Mostert. I'm not expecting much from Sutton. Keon, let's see it first. I'll just go Mostert.
Yeah, just go Mostert here. Sutton will be fine a lot of weeks, but yeah, I'm not gonna go with Sutton this week. Quick one from Joe Harrington, possibly the former quarterback. Kamara or Worthy? I think that's overthinking it.
Yeah, just go. Kamara should be good this week against the Panthers. Just go Kamara.
Right. All right, Cali Kid, welcome back. Thoughts on Herbert this season? Could he be a QB1 in a 14-teamer?
I mean, maybe because he's only got to be QB 14, but I'm not feeling great about Herbert this year. We'll see, but he's going to need to be very, very efficient because I don't think the volume is going to be great for him.
The volume of that run-heavy attack, yes, it's going to be a run-heavy offense, but also people just kind of forgot until recently they started asking about, remember the supposedly plantar fasciitis he had? And now he's like, nah, it's just, sore. And I don't know about that. That's another thing that's just like the cherry on top of me not drafting him. I really got Herbert almost nowhere this year. Tom Staker. Full PPR, Caleb Williams, AJ Brown, Puka, McLaurin, Etienne, Walker. On the bench is Ridley, Watson, Ford. What do you think? Any changes?
I mean, I think it's really good. I'm guessing 10-teamer. I mean, you got AJ Brown, Puka, and McLaurin with Etienne and Walker. I don't change anything in your starting lineup. I don't see a tight end, so I don't know there, and I don't see another quarterback. I'm not benching any of those guys, so I'm going to assume 10-teamer. It's very good. If it's a 10-teamer, 8.5. If it's somehow a 12-teamer, this is like a 9.5.
Wow, 9.5. Man, this could be a 12-teamer because you obviously waited on quarterback. Who knows about tight end? Maybe it's one of those great no tight end leagues. If this is a 12-teamer, I think this could be like an 8.75. I kind of want to be sure Caleb is him. He could be, but we'll see. If it's a 10-teamer, it's more like an 8.5. All right, Marcus is back. Marcus WJ. That's right. Marcus, I remember he posts his team.
Yes.
It's point per reception and point per carry.
Well, in this case, you have to start Anthony Richardson.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to have 3 times or more the carries of Jordan Love. I mean, in point per carry, you have to start Anthony Richardson, and I still go Henry over Jacobs.
Yeah. I mean, both guys are going to get fed, but King Henry, hail to the king, starting right now. So starting pretty soon, actually. So let's keep going. AR and Henry. All of a sudden, pick one. Rice, Connor, Ford.
PPR. Yeah, PPR, I'm going Rice. I do like Connor. I mean, obviously like Ford. I still like Connor, but PPR, give me Rice.
There you go. Go Rice because it's full. And get him in your lineup right now. Okay. Smitty Mills, sit Terry or James Conner?
Figure out what that icon is. It's like a shark with like a gun turret on it. What is that? I'm sitting James Conner unless it's non PPR, then I'll sit Terry.
Right. If it's half or full, start Terry. If it's standard, then sit Terry. All right. Kai Sinclair has Dak but nervous. Yeah, I am too at Cleveland. Not Baker Mayfield nervous, but recently picked up Stafford. Now, I would go Stafford over Dak.
Yeah, Stafford in Detroit against that Lions defense. He's healthy. Everybody, Cup is healthy. This I can go Stafford over Dak.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a smart move. All right. And then Adrian,
What's up, Adrian?
Definitely one of the OGs, Adrian
Yes.
Baca. All right. Needs 2 for the flex and receiver spot. Walker, Rice, Pittman,
Ooh.
Waddle.
This is tough. If it's PPR, I'm probably going all the wide receivers. If it's half, I could, or non PPR, I could go like, well, if it's half, I could go Pittman, Waddle, and Walker. It's non PPR, I might go Rice over maybe Rice, Waddle, Walker.
Yeah, I don't remember when you play. If it's non PPR, I think you almost have to put Walker.
Yeah.
At the flex, and then I think any of them are good. Yeah. I'm assuming PPR. I'm so big on Walker, but you're right. If it's full PPR, I think you still got to go with the receivers. Waddle and probably Rice. All right. Bobby Brook from across the pond. Hey, start sit 12 team PPR needs a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a flex, and a tight end. Kyler or Rodgers? It's
Kyler.
All right. 2 running backs: Bijan, Cook, Javonte, Chase Brown, Ty Chandler, Jordan Mason.
The first 2, Bijan and Cook.
Yes. 2 receivers: Wilson, McLaurin, Flowers, Reed, Watson.
All right. Well, thankfully, oh man.
McBride is the tight end. Okay, so we're gonna flex. I'm assuming one of these receivers since it's PPR. So which 3 do we like best? Wilson.
I'm going Wilson, Flowers, Watson. As much as I like Terry, I just feel like when you have these kind of wide receivers, let's not risk it with them with JD. Garrett, Flowers, Watson. That's who I'm going with. If you're like, hey, I mean, you drafted Watson, so you're obviously not that terrified of him. But if you're like, I don't know about Watson, I'm fine with Terry over Watson as well.
Wilson, Flowers, and then McLaurin, Watson. Either are good. Go for the upside. It's Watson. Sir Boomer, which, by the way, still got a little bit of time before the game starts. He took the pick, paired that Kelsey freebie with Derrick Henry going over on rushing, go higher.
And don't you get the vulture protection on Henry? So basically, like, if Henry doesn't score, like, you get that pick back. You get your refund. So
there you go. Very nice. All right, let's keep going. We got Jonah John, half PPR, needs a flex. Here are the receivers: AJB, Debo, Kyron, and Monty at running back. We can go Neighbors, Higgins, Mostert, or Mike Williams.
Well, I have 2 answers here. I have the answer of what I would do, which is Higgins. But then I have the answer of what you should probably do since you have faith in Neighbors by drafting him. Roll Neighbors out there. Roll them out there. You drafted them. Roll them out there. But if it's me, I feel good enough about Higgins. I'm going Higgins.
It's definitely not Williams. If it's half PPR, I'd still go receiver over Mostert. I mean, this is the same conversation we had all last night about Neighbors, right? If you drafted him, you should start him, but I didn't draft him, so it's hard for me to say. I would rather have Higgins in my lineup, but I didn't draft Neighbors. So look, if you want to go Neighbors, go Neighbors. Steven, going back. Now, you remember, this is the Super Flex League where somehow, okay, he started at 9:30. Everyone else was probably drunk and playing chicken or just not drafting smartly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I still would love to see that draft board if you want to post it in the Discord.
I still do want to see it. Now, and then we're seeing now, but by the way, thank you, Steven. You notice renewed the membership for the rest of the year. Awesome.
Thank you. Awesome.
Some people are saying the game is delayed because of the weather. Is that right? I have to look into that.
Let's see.
We don't know because we've been on here the whole time, last couple hours. So that's good. Gives us more time to get these questions because if you're wondering about Rashee Rice or any of these Chiefs or Ravens, got to get that set. Carson wants to know about Nico or Rice. I mean, I'm going Nico.
Yeah, game been delayed 10 minutes. 10 minutes for weather. So maybe there's right. Lightning.
So we don't have forever.
I don't know. I think I'm going Rice. Maybe I'm too high on Rice, but again, Rice is not competing with Diggs and Dell. He's competing with Worthy and Kelsey and maybe Justin Watson. Like, I'm going Rice, but they both should be good. They both should be good. I don't think there's like a wrong answer here.
Yeah, I could be wrong on this. I'm thinking Nico is still definitely the number one receiver for Houston. Of course, the other two will be very close. CJ Stroud likes playing the Colts. We know this. He should eat this week. And so I just feel like Nico is almost a set and forget. Like he's a lock. It's not really about me doubting Rice or anything. It's just if I have Nico, I'm starting him. I'm just not really thinking about it. Jonah John with another one here. It's an 18 family league. All right. Let's see how dominant this team is. Got Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Debo, Neighbors, Higgins, Coleman, Worthy, Mike Williams, Kyron Williams, Monty Mostert, Dowdle, Warren, Laporta, and Cleveland.
All right. Well, you're definitely a Neighbors truther because you have them on both teams.
Right.
So you might as well roll Neighbors out then. Rating the team here, though, AJ Brown, Debo, Neighbors, Higgins, Coleman, Worthy, Mike Williams. Very good. Or is this the same team?
I think it's the same team. Now that I look at it, I'm looking back because he's got Mike Williams. I was like,
yeah, I'm like, this looks like, okay, I think it is the same team. All right, well, scratch that Neighbors part. Okay. Kyron, Monty, Mostert, Dowdle, Warren, Laporta. It's an 8-teamer. Yeah. I mean, wide receivers are very good. Running backs are very good, but I don't feel like you're just like absolutely stacked at either position. Just kind of what I expect in an 8-teamer is just that your team is so stacked I can't even rate it. So I'm going to say an 8.
Yeah, when I saw 18 Family League, I really expected to just be like Steven's ridiculous team where you have like, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. It's like, I mean, I know that's not realistic, but I mean, it's still very good. Hurts in the AJB, that's great. If you're in Neighbors, that's great. Your receivers, no issues whatsoever. You got Kyron. Again, for an 8-team, Monty Mostert are good, but not amazing. But this is still, at least I would say, an 8.5. I think this is good.
All right, just real quick because the game is delayed, and I know people are freaking out about the weather. So the guy I usually trust that I go to for the weather on Twitter, he's saying 20-minute late start in KC, not because it's currently raining, but because the earlier lightning messed up pregame timing. And then he's saying, so it's not even a weather delay. It's just a delay because the weather delayed the start of everything. So they're just behind. And then he's saying, if you look at the future radar, it does show more storms popping in game. I think that's pretty unlikely with the rain cooled air now in place. And I expect a dry game. So there you go.
Even so, okay, rain. It didn't say tsunami or torrential downpour,
No.
like 50-mile-per-hour gusts. It'll be fine. So don't make your decisions based on that. All right. So we do have a little bit of extra time, and we do have some more super chats here. So let's get those. Mr. Major 27, 10-team PPR. Got Murray, Mixon, Swift. St. Brown, AJ Brown, Ferguson, Flexing Pittman, Debo just benched, Spears, Mostert, Corum, Thomas, Shakir, rates. That's almost the problem if you get such a deep receiver core. It's like you can't start them all.
I got no room for you in my lineup, Debo. Sit on the bench. Yeah, see, this is the thing though. Like, okay, St. Brown, AJ Brown, Pittman, Debo. I mean, stacked, but then like Mixon, Swift as your running backs. Like, okay, that's fine, but this is a 10-teamer. Like, I almost feel like you have to draft different in a 10-teamer. Like, you have to just, like, you almost, unless you're in like a 10-teamer where you start like multiple flexes or anything like that, you almost have to just draft a starting lineup. Like, not even worry about the bench. Just get a stud running back,
right.
get a stud wide. Because if you keep hammer in like that wide receiver value, then you end up with just kind of like okay running backs like this. But it is a 10-teamer, so running backs are going to pop up on the waiver wire, so it's not the worst thing. But because the running backs are just, okay for a 10-teamer, I'm going to say an 8.
Yeah, same thing. And it's exactly what you were saying. It's like I love having a loaded receiver room, but then at the end of the day, you're looking, okay, Pittman or Debo, one of those guys is just on your bench, and then you're starting Mixon as your RB1. It's not ideal. So you could always swing a trade, of course. So keep that in mind. Might want to upgrade. Deal from your strength to upgrade. Chris Laborde is back in the house. In a standard league, you're going Worthy tonight or B-Rob?
I think I got to go Brian Robinson in a standard league. I mean, you're really hoping Worthy catches a touchdown.
Right.
Because if he gets, let's say, if he gets 4, even if he gets 4 catches for like 80 yards, because one of them is a 50-yard bomb, that's still only 8 non-PPR points. So, Brian Robinson can get 80 total yards just from volume. So I'm going the running back.
Exactly. If you're starting a guy like Worthy, receiver like that, you're going touchdown. You're going higher on the touchdown. That's what it is. Brian Robinson could very well score a touchdown too. It's not a great matchup for him, but he's going to be the goal line back pretty much. He could still score, get you yardage. So, yeah, I'm going to go B-Rob here. Big dog pound, flexing one in full. McLaurin, Ford, Hubbard, Chase Brown, Deontay Johnson, or Freiermuth. I think there are only 2 real choices here.
Yes, and I'm going to go with Deontay. Even though I do like Terry, I also really like Deontay. I know Deontay's people consider Deontay risky too because it's Bryce Young, but at least we've seen Bryce Young play football, and we've seen Bryce Young support a wide receiver in Adam Thielen. Let's see how JD looks first start before, I still like Terry, but if I have a choice like Deontay, I'll just pivot to Deontay instead.
Yeah, it's either McLaurin or Deontay. And again, what we keep saying with Terry, could have a big week. I do expect him to get a ton of targets, but there's that risk that Daniels isn't quite ready for prime time. And Deontay, he's going to get fed. And, although actually I did say this because, New Orleans has a pretty good pass defense, actually very good pass defense. But the type of defense they run, Deontay was effective basically against every defense last year, but he could be effective. He's not going to get shut down, in other words. I'm going to go Deontay as well. What do we have? A couple more minutes till kickoff?
Well, now we have about 10 more minutes to kick off because, again, things are delayed, but we are caught up.
We are actually caught up on the super chat. So let's do a quick, lightning round.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, we'll start with I just want to throw this up because we have a lot of new viewers, which again, welcome everyone. We appreciate you. So a question like this is important for tonight, but LGO TV, should you start Rice?
Yes.
It depends who are your other options, right? So more detail. We need a little more detail there. Now, Stevenson or Rice in non-PPR, E111. That's tough.
I might honestly go Rice because I really think if you said who's going to score a touchdown this week, Stevenson or Rice, I'm like Rice. I think Rice has a better chance. I honestly think Rice has a better chance to score a touchdown this week. I'm going Rice.
It's funny because this is the one case where I think the running back has less value in a standard because what I keep doing with Stevenson, Ramondre, is like I like him because of the floor, because of the pass catching. Well, that doesn't help you. Yeah, I would go Rice as well. So get him in there. We did just get another super chat. So Bobby broke with another one. That's right. I forget he's the Packer fan. Well, you've been Sir Boomer's trying to at you as a Watson stan. That's not what it is. Yes, we do share the opinion that Watson has a ton of upside.
If you don't see me on Monday's stream, it's because Watson completely busted and I'm hiding under a rock.
But it's not like you said 100% you have to start Watson. He's going to go ballistic.
Yeah. Am I sure that you should play Flowers and Christian Watson over McLaurin? No, it's fantasy football. If I was sure, like if I was 100% sure, I would have a big bet in Vegas right now. And then I'd be like, peace out, everybody. I just, I'm retiring. I'm retiring off my Vegas winnings.
Right.
I feel very good that you should start Flowers and Watson, but I wouldn't say I'm sure.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, let's not get started now. One thing, look, if you all know, you've been here long enough. Chris is not a truther or a hater of anybody. He loves and hates all players equally, depending on how they perform. In any given year, the guy he was off and never drafting will then be drafted next year because every year is different. Even every week is different. Tyler Sperry, what's up, Tyler? Would you drop Caleb Williams or Dowdle for Corum?
If you don't need Caleb Williams, like if you already have a stud QB, yeah, I would drop him for Corum. I talked about this very, very, very early on the stream. I prefer Dowdle this week because there is a chance he's the guy in Dallas, and if he is, he's going to be a very hot waiver wire pickup going into next week. Whereas Corum is probably only going to be a hot waiver wire pickup if Kyron Williams gets hurt returning a punt or something. So, but if you don't need Caleb Williams, like if you're like, yeah, I drafted like Lamar Jackson and Caleb Williams, yeah, drop Caleb Williams for Corum, because if that happens, you're going to be very happy Corum is already on your bench, and you're not going to have to stress about like how much fab do I drop, or do I have a high enough waiver claim for him, or am I going to get you've already got him.
Exactly. Stash him now. Beat the breakout. I mean, obviously Caleb's your backup, otherwise you wouldn't be dropping him, so you might as well drop him for Corum. One more, Luis Correa, Higgins, Metcalf, Monty, or Zamir to flex in 10-man PPR.
If Chase was out, I might have gone Higgins, but now I think I'm just going to go DK.
Yeah, I'll go DK for sure. PPR, you want that receiver with the upside. Metcalf could go off this week. I think he's a top 10 receiver. All right, with that said, Ronnie gets the last word today. What's up, Ronnie? It is game time. Yes, good luck to everyone. Hopefully,
yes,
your players, whoever you got tonight, hopefully they all go off and your opponents don't. But don't forget, we'll still be back. More live streams, more videos, more everything every single day. Subscribe. And, oh, yeah, hit the like button if you haven't already. Don't forget that on the way out. It does help us. If we're helping you, help us. And then notifications that you know as soon as we go live, whenever that is. Good luck, everybody. NFL season is finally actually now here. All right.